going on, everyone? Back with another episode of Stuff and Things. I got another electric skateboard review for you guys today. And if you are new to this channel, my name is Talon. I review these things pretty frequently. If you're looking for any information regarding some of the most popular electric skateboards out on the market right now, you can check out this playlist right up here. Also, I've put all of the data that I've ever collected into a spreadsheet in a Google Doc, and you can check that one out in the description down below. I'll pop it up right here. If you want to check it out, pause the video. Those are all the ones that I reviewed so far, and if you want to see their respective videos, just check out that playlist. All right, now today we are going to be revisiting a board. I reviewed the previous generation of this one, and the new one should have some improvements, and if it's anything like the last one, chances are it should be pretty dang sweet. So today we're going to be testing out the WowGo 3. So the WowGo 3 in the specs department is looking pretty similar to the previous board. However, they did add some new modes which should be pretty interesting to test out. This is of course a dual hub motor board powered by Samsung batteries, and it should be giving me a range of about 12 to 14 miles with a top speed of 24 miles per hour. Some notable improvements start up front with the Paris V2 truck. And if you couple that with the new bamboo and fiberglass deck, this thing should be super springy and carved pretty much like you're surfing. They do say on their website that it is very strong and it won't break even if you jump on it, so you know we gotta test that out. They do have some new wheels all around, which are much bigger than the previous ones, so it should be sucking up a lot of the cracks and bumps in the roads around here. And they also improved the remote as well. It has a scrolly thumb wheel, and it now has an LED display. On that display, I should be able to tell the difference between the slow, normal, fast, and the new turbo mode. And it of course does display my battery levels as well. Alright, now I typically don't stress test things just to push them to their breaking point, but if you say on the website that you can jump on this thing and it's not going to break, I gotta test it out. Right off the bat, it is the same shape as before. They did get rid of that grab handle, which I am actually a fan of. I'm glad they got rid of it. And with the orange wheels and the overall shape of the deck, it's already looking similar to a boosted board, and I think it is going to flex the same. So, let's stand on it first. Now I weigh about 175, 180 pounds, and just with a little bit of flex, you can see that it's getting pretty close to the pavement down there. Now I really don't want to break this thing before we start this test, but I will jump on it just a little bit more. So as you can see, this little housing here is actually bumping into the ground, so my boosted board did that. That's actually a good thing. The deck feels pretty solid, even though it is super flexy, made out of that bamboo. And with the big wheels and that flexy deck, I think this thing is going to be feeling pretty good underneath my feet. Now let's get this thing turned on, remote, on. One thing that I really like to see in longer skateboards like this is that tiny little kicktail there. Like I mentioned in a lot of videos, I don't like just not having anything and the board slams into the ground. So again, I still dig this deck shape. It is definitely one of my favorite ones out there, and a lot of people are actually using this. Now I know it is difficult to read the display out here, but I am in mode 1 right now. Bump it up 2, 3, and then after 3 it turns to T, which is a turbo mode. We're gonna start in 1 and see how it feels. Right off the bat, the WowGo is feeling pretty good. Like I mentioned in the past, I did actually recommend the previous one, and my expectations for this one are pretty high as well. I think they're going to have a good product here because they just keep improving on the previous ones. Check out the brakes in the slow mode. Still pretty strong, even in this low mode. I'm gonna bump this up to mode number 2, and we're gonna head over to do a hill test right away. I know we have some nice pavement coming up here, so let's bump up into mode 3 already. That's pretty quick, but now the turbo mode. Curious to see what this is gonna do. Battery's topped off, so it should be pretty quick. The remote was just reading 22 miles per hour there, and that feels pretty accurate, but we'll find out what the tracking app says in the end. All right, we are at the bottom of the hill for the hill test, and one thing that I noticed about this turbo mode is that there is no limit to it. A previous board I just tested, when you put it in turbo mode, it would turn off after 30 seconds. It was using too much power, and it was just a preventative measure to kind of keep things safe and cool. This turbo mode supposedly gives you more power, torque, acceleration, and everything, so while it is still in turbo mode, I'm gonna test it on this hill right here. A lot of boards fail this test, even getting about halfway up. And man, this thing is actually doing really well so far. I was just doing 17 miles per hour up that hill, which is pretty damn steep. All right, this thing is absolutely crushing it. I'm doing 16 miles per hour up this hill at like a very decent pace, still in turbo mode. This thing is actually pretty nice. A lot of times when companies talk about all of these new modes, turbo modes and stuff like that, they don't last very long, but this one is good. I'm at the top of the hill now doing 20 miles an hour. Brakes feel good. Huge pass for the WowGo. One other quick thing that I noticed is that you can change modes while you are moving. That's a nice touch. I'm gonna put it back down to mode number 3. Conserve a little bit of power instead of just rocking in turbo mode the whole time. Now we're gonna test out the distance of this thing. Back down the big hill to test out these brakes. I hope they work because we're going pretty fast already. One thing that I also like to test while going down these hills is to make sure that they're not going to overheat and just stop braking altogether. So right now they're feeling strong and I think we're pretty good. Hopefully regenning some of that power we lost on the way up. Alright, I'm starting to get some vibrates out of the controller. The odometer on here says we've gone 6.1 miles, and I believe we've gone actually a little bit further than that. It was flashing 25%, and it has been buzzing ever since then. So hopefully we'll make it a little bit further. I'm nowhere near where I started. The power still feels consistent and everything. And hopefully this thing dies with a gradual death, that way I can actually get back to where I started. Only time will tell though. I'll report back in a couple seconds. Alright guys, back for some final thoughts on the WowGo 3. I'm already pretty impressed with it. It definitely met my expectations, but let's check out the actual stats on the app. If you guys want to download this app, it is on the Google Play Store, and I will leave a link for it in the description down below. So we went a total distance of 10.77 miles, a total runtime of just over an hour, and a max speed of 22 miles per hour. Now the testing conditions here were a little bit strenuous. For the most part, people are riding these around in cities, and they don't have massive hills like you saw me riding up, but overall I think those are some pretty good specs. It seems like a lot of board manufacturers are listening to videos such as this one, and they're no longer overinflating their specs. This is the second board in a row now that I've tested, and it came very close to the advertised specs. Of course, it is never going to be exactly spot on because of the conditions, the terrain, the rider weight, and things like that. But overall, for a board this size with this much power, it definitely crosses off everything on my checklist. Now this of course did come with a bunch of different accessories. It came with some replacement urethane to put around the rear hub motors, as well as the chargers, the updated remote, a little light for the back, and it even came with a wall hanger, so pretty standard stuff coming from WowGo. The improvements compared to the last one, the trucks are definitely a nice touch. I think after riding this with the super flexi deck again, I'm starting to prefer these flexier decks much more. When you get into a deck that is a little bit more stiff, it kind of wears on your legs after a while, so the combination of the nice smooth trucks, the flexi deck, and the big wheels, it made this thing very, very smooth. Now at the time of testing the last WowGo, that board was coming in at about $430. This one on the other hand is coming in at $599. So the way I put different boards into categories, I would say that about $450 or below would be like the lowest tier, the most budget options out there, and then anything above that, about $450, $500 up to say maybe 750, 800, that would be the mid-level tier. And then anything above that is of course the top dogs. The WowGo has now gone from that lower tier up to the middle tier, and is it actually worth that upgrade? Now in the specs department, this one did perform a little bit better than the previous model. And then with all the upgrades to the board itself, as far as materials and parts go, and then the updated ESC with that new turbo mode, all of that stuff definitely bumps this up into that mid-level tier. However, is that price point justified? Just by looking at this board, I can definitely tell that the production has gotten a lot better. The quality control seems like it has improved as well. Overall, it's a very nice, clean looking board, and I think this one will remain pretty reliable as well. My previous WowGo, I did ride that thing pretty frequently, and that was definitely a board that I can recommend, and this is also in that same category. Like I mentioned, you guys have to compare the different board sizes, weights, price, ranges, top speed, all of that stuff for yourself, so check out my huge comparison list down in the description below. This WowGo 3 is up in the middle ranks now, and I think it actually is a good fit for this board. It's really cool to see all these manufacturers actually taking feedback from people who ride these things pretty frequently and have a good understanding of what makes a good board. So WowGo, if you're watching, you guys definitely did a good job of improving the old model, and I'm looking forward to what other companies do from here on out. These boards just keep getting better and better, and I can't even imagine what they're gonna be like 5-10 years from now. It's gonna be insane. So if you guys have any questions on the WowGo 3, let me know in the comments down below. I will leave a link to where you can pick one of these up if you think this board is the right fit for you. And if you're new to the channel, consider clicking subscribe because I make new videos every week, and there should be some more electric skateboard content coming soon. That's all that I got. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one.